Why is Bitcoin surging?
My view is surging because there is a massive amount of manipulation. There are pump and dump schemes. There is spoofing. There is wash trading. There is front running. There is the issuance by tether of a fiat currency not backed by much. That's used to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. I think it's a bubble. Fundamentally, Bitcoin is not a currency. It's not a unit of account. It's not a scalable means of payment. It's not a stable store of value. Not even Bitcoin conferences accept it as a means of payment because the price volatility implies that your profit margin can be wiped out. And it's not even a single numeraire. You know, the Flintstones had a better monetary system than Bitcoin because they had the shells instead of having a different token for different purchase of goods and services. So these are not currencies. Calling them cryptocurrencies is a misnomer. They're not even assets.
Nouriel, I want to get to the heart of it, and I'm going to go to Raphael Auer's path-breaking work with Benoit Cœuré at the Bank of International Settlements. The transaction costs of Bitcoin in retail transactions preclude its use. So do you look at Tesla as a one-off and that Bitcoin just simply will never be used at retail because the transaction costs are so much higher than normal currency?
Well, the transaction costs are huge, but the technology, proof of work, doesn't allow more than 5 transactions per second. The Visa network allows you 24,000 transactions per second. So it's not a scalable means of payment, leaving aside the fact that transaction costs are so high, it's never going to be used for goods and services. It's just used for speculation and buying other cryptocurrencies. So it's a self-serving system, but it's not something that's going to be used as a scalable means of payment for goods and services ever.
Nouriel, you mentioned the volume of transactions. What about just a smaller volume but in larger size?
Meaning what?
Meaning if you could transact in large sums of money and move cash through Bitcoin from one country to another in large numbers. So not the volume of individual transactions, but let's say you could move $1 billion from point A to point B with Bitcoin.
Well, you know, even Steve Mnuchin said that we cannot have crypto and Bitcoin becoming the next Swiss bank account being used by human traffickers, terrorists, tax evaders as a way of sheltering their wealth and moving across borders. Right now, across borders, there are slow movements of transactions because there is a KYC, there's a MAL, there's compliance. That's why it's hard to move money from one country to another. That's why there are capital controls. So if you have a system that is illegal that allows you to transfer money instantaneously from a country to another one without any control, of course, that's something that's going to be used by criminals or terrorists or human traffickers or tax evaders. But no system, no country is going to allow that. There's been a crackdown of the G20 on those types of offshore financial centers. There'll be a similar crackdown against the total lack of MAL and KYC in anything that's crypto.
So, Professor, what do you make of the increased institutional buying that we've seen more recently?
Well, you know, I think that you have to ask yourself, is this as an asset? It's not a currency. It's not even an asset. Usually stocks, bonds, loans, real estate give you some income, dividend, coupon, interest, or rent. Some other assets like residential real estate give you use, housing services. Gold doesn't have any income, but there's a use in industry, as utility, as jewelry, and has a past monetary use and as a store of value. You look at Bitcoin, it doesn't have any income, it doesn't have any use, it doesn't have any utility, so it's a pure speculative, self-fulfilling bubble on price appreciation. It's like tulip mania. But in the case of tulip mania, at least tulips had some utility. Even today, people love flowers. In this case, you have an asset that is not an asset because it doesn't have any feature of an asset. It doesn't have any feature of a currency. So it's just a self-fulfilling bubble. That's what it is. Its intrinsic value is zero. And actually, given it's hogged so much energy for producing it, more than Argentina, if you had a pure carbon tax, the value would be negative, not even zero.